Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Comic Source Comic Boom collaboration. Time for DC Spotlight for the week of February 4th, 2026. Good week. Good week of books. Good week in that I feel like I know this hasn't been the case, but I feel like recently, every time we come on, we start it with news of us losing another comic book legend or some other super negative diamonds filed for bankruptcy or some other horrible news in the comic industry. So uh, I'm feeling upbeat because there's no bad news in the comic industry. Still going along and organizing my books. I really slacked off this week. I haven't even done a single year this week. It's been like almost a week. Like I did 84 and I finished it in the middle of last week. And then even though I had the weekend, but my comic room slash studio right now looks like a true comic room slash studio because I have a folding table set up and it's just covered. I got stacks of comics everywhere, as opposed to usually everything is put away in my drawer boxes. But yeah, it's kind of fun. It's kind of nice. Been going down memory lane as I've been going through, taking pictures, sending them over to Rocky and Steve. Like, hey, take a look at this, take a look at that. So anyway, yeah, like I said, I thought it was a pretty solid week of DC books. 11 books for him to talk about. Yeah, what do you think, Rocky?
I actually thought I enjoyed this week. I thought it was pretty solid too. Even books that it was a pleasant surprise. Even books that I wasn't expecting to enjoy, I was surprised how much I enjoyed them, and yeah, it's going to be interesting. There's some very interesting developments this week in some of the books. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on. Uh, yeah, but overall it's been a pretty good. I thought it was a pretty good week. I was thoroughly entertained, and I haven't read any indie books this week. I haven't had time, but I just read all the DC as I do, and I'm really enjoying DC. And by the way, it is official. DC did officially beat Marvel. DC had the higher market share for 2025. It's been official. They had 32% of the market, and Marvel had 29% for 2025. So DC officially beat Marvel for 2025 overall with market share, which is quite something. So that's the first time. My understanding, that's the first time it's happened in 8 years. So that's quite a milestone for DC, and we'll see if Marvel can turn that around in 2026.
Yeah, they're going to give it a try with the Ultimate Universe Reborn for sure. I don't know if everybody heard the news. I think it came out after we recorded last week. Ultimate Universe Reborn coming in May, I believe. So, look for a free comic book day issue leading into that series. They haven't announced a creative team, but it does star Miles Morales. The last issue of Miles Morales that came out last week has some hints of what's to come and what have you. But we also know that Brian Michael Bendis and Sarah Pichelli are back on Miles. I think on the regular series it was announced, or at least it's been announced they're back on Miles. So I kind of feel like they've already sort of hinted, but I'm expecting that to be what it. And I don't just say that because I want to be right, but it just it just makes the most sense. Not in terms of, hey, this is going to be really great, because Bendis is just not in his prime anymore.
Yeah.
As much as I love the guy and his love for comics, but knowing Marvel's decision making and the way that they do things, it made the most sense. So that being said, I have been reading some Marvel books lately. The Iron Man first issue came out from Joshua Williamson last week.
Yeah. I read it too. Yeah.
Yeah, it felt a little, derivative. It didn't feel wholly original, but at the same time, Iron Man's been around since 1963, 64. So it's kind of hard to come up with a, wholly new story. I mean,
can I just add? I just want to add. I just want to interrupt you there. I loved his Iron Man #1. I'm not tied into a bunch of Marvel continuity. I thought it was so accessible for me. I'm more familiar with the Iron Man of the movies. I loved it. I love the art. I thought it was. I'm invested. I'm buying the first. I'm going to get the first arc. I thought it was very well done, and I completely understand Marvel Zombies or people more familiar with Marvel saying this has been done before. Well, for me, it feels new, and I don't know. I enjoyed it. So, for me, I was saying I'm not. I enjoyed it.
A ton of Iron. Like I've read all. Like I'm a huge Iron Man guy. Like Iron Man is in my top 3 favorite Marvel characters. So I have, I've read basically all of Iron Man.
Yeah.
So again, it's hard to come up with it's a guy wearing a super sophisticated suit that's basically it's weaponized armor, and Tony Stark is really smart. So yes, the bad guys want his brain. Yes, the bad guys want his weapons, whatever. So, that's sort of baked into the character. So when I say, if to some extent it feels like we've seen some of this before. Now, the hints of what's to come, it definitely feels like there's some things that we haven't seen before. So I'm excited for it. The art by Carmen Canero is very good as well. So that's really fantastic. The other thing that I've been rereading, because I read it like monthly as it came out, and I think I missed an issue here or there, is Benjamin Percy's Ghost Rider run, which led up to, I won't spoil, but it was like, I think 19 issues, and then it led into a 5-issue final Vengeance, and then there was no Ghost Rider book for about a year, and now they're doing Spirits of Violence, which has all the Ghost Riders, but it doesn't get the legacy numbering of Ghost Rider, so kind of interesting. Not sure, because I've been buying that, but I haven't been reading it because I want to reread the Benjamin Percy run. But man, I've really been enjoying it. Like, so it's kind of funny, like the books that I'm enjoying most from Marvel, with the exception of Iron Man and Infernal Hulk from Philip Kennedy Johnson, and to some extent the Ultimate books, although those have felt a little stale to me. But it's funny, I'm reading books from 4 or 5 years ago, rereading books 4 or 5 years ago from Marvel, and really enjoying them. So, but it's all in my trying to fulfill my goal of reading 10 to 12 comics a day, which I'm behind, but I'm gonna get caught up. I keep crossing my fingers that I will. So. Anyway, let's get started. First book we're going to talk about, we have the return of Nice House by the Sea. This is issue number 7 from writer James Tynion. Alvaro Martinez Bueno handles the art. Jordi Belair on colors. And World Design does the letters and the design. Now, this book had I don't want to say it went away, but it had been on hiatus.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
It was kind of similar to what they did with Nice House on the Lake, where they did 6 issues, and then it went away for a while, and now it's back. Now, and I understand why, because the art is very, I don't want to say detailed because it's painted, but it's very intricate, and you can tell it's very time consuming. And Alvaro is a fantastic artist, and he co-owns this with James, and so it makes sense that he doesn't want to do it with anybody else, and so it's going to take as long as it takes. But I will say that the story, just because it's one of those stories with so many characters, and it can be sort of confusing, that when it loses momentum, or you're reading it monthly as opposed to trade, it's sometimes kind of hard to keep track of who the characters are and what's going on and what have you. Now, the last time, I think it was like I want to say issue 6 came out sometime over the summer, like June, July, August maybe, and then it came back in October. So I think it was like maybe June. So it was like a 3-month break or so. This one, the last issue 6, came out in March of 2025. So we're talking almost a year, 11-month break.
Yeah.
And, it's not late. This was, the planned break or whatever. It wasn't like it was solicited and they pushed it back or what have you. At least I don't think so. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But no matter what it is, and no matter good reason or not, stories lose momentum if you go on an extended break like that. It's just the way that it is. Now, maybe if this is the only comic you read and you reread it in the meantime, maybe it doesn't lose momentum for you. But with the amount of comics that Rocky and I read, and the fact that I haven't gone back, I keep saying that I'm going to go back and reread. I think Rocky has gone back and reread Nice House by the Lake, and I don't know if you've reread the first 6 issues. Nice.
I did last year, but yeah.
Yeah, but again, it's been a whole year. But I have only read Nice House by the Lake, each issue as it came out as when we reviewed it. I've never gone back and revisited it, reading it as a whole, which I think I'd get more out of it. And then same thing with Nice House by the Sea. So I say all that to say, when I saw this come up this week, I was like, oh, Nice House by the Sea. And I'm like, it's been a while. And even I didn't realize that it had been almost a year.
Yeah.
But there's a couple things. I think James has heard from other people about the fact that sometimes it gets kind of hard to remember who the characters are and keep track of them all. So he has started in all the issues. Rocky had it up on the screen earlier if you're watching on YouTube. There's like a character glossary, if you will, where it's visual, like it shows the characters and it gives the little symbol that they've designed for each character, and it gives their name and what their occupation is. Because, this is one of those books where it's like, oh, he's the writer, he's the scientist, he's the senator, he's the doctor, he's the poet, he's the comedian, whatever. Everybody kind of has a label. And that is super helpful. That is super, super helpful. And I hope they continue to put it in every book. And I'm pretty sure that these are in the trades as well. So that has helped. The other thing that really helped this issue, where I felt like I wasn't lost, is just the skill of James Tynion as a writer.
Exactly.
At no point does it even come close to, oh, I feel like this page is just an exposition dump where James is reminding me of what's happened recently and what's going on, whatever. He does it he gives the information and kind of reminds us of what's going on, but he does it in such a way that it feels completely natural, and it doesn't feel, like I said, like an exposition dump. Or back in the day that they used to do Marvel comics, and this came directly from Jim Shooter, and it's never more apparent than in Marvel Superhero Secret Wars, that 12-issue year-long series that almost launched the event, the comic book event as we know it now, because Shooter helped write that or whatever. But if you go and read that issue, from the second issue on, you read the second issue and there's like at least half a page of recapping what's come before. And you just see these panels that have all these boxes, these expositional boxes. They're not dialogue. They're not characters necessarily talking to each other. Sometimes they are, but most of the time it's just, third person just saying, hey, here's what's happened. Here's what's happened. Here's what's happened. And it's like, in a way, you're missing out on comic book real estate, because they're retelling events that you as a reader have already read. Now, the reason that Shooter used to have people do that is because he really ascribed to the idea that, hey, every comic is somebody's first. Well, we know the readership and the age and people who read comics, that's all shifted. It's older now. It's much more people that are, returning. And I don't really think you need to necessarily write a comic and say, hey, this could be somebody's first book. I mean, it doesn't hurt necessarily, and there's good jumping on points. But also, back then there wasn't trades where you could go and just catch up. Right now you could go and buy the first two trade paperbacks of Nice House by the Sea, or Nice House by the Lake, rather, and read those and get caught up. And for that matter, you could buy the first trade paperback of Nice House by the Sea as well. You could read all those 18 issues and sort of be caught up. So the exposition doesn't necessarily need to be there the way that it was in the past. But again, when I saw this and I was like, oh, I'm going to read this and I'm going to be lost. That was my initial thought. I'm going to be lost. And that wasn't the case at all. So credit to James Tynion for doing a fantastic job of kind of reminding us of what's been going on. Now, in terms of the actual story itself, it continues to be an amazing story. The whole premise, if you're not familiar, is this idea that the world is coming to an end. There's these alien entities. Now, we don't know if they're necessarily like aliens out there from outer space, or if they're just from another dimension or whatever, but they do have these powers and abilities. And so basically, as the rest of the world burns and cities are crumbling and earthquakes and fire and whatever, these various aliens, we've met two so far, and it's Max
Walter and Max.
Walter. Walter, Nice House by the Lake, Max, Nice House by the Sea. And they basically, Walter sort of broke the rules. That's another part. He was supposed to go and recruit 12 people or 10 people, something along those lines, that were really like the top of the line, right? Like save the best and the brightest of humanity. And maybe someday they rebuild, maybe not, whatever, but you continue the species with the best and the brightest. But Walter broke the rules, and he saved 10 people that were friends of his. Now, Max followed the rules, so Nice House by the Sea, it is filled with really brilliant people, and there's hints. We've been told there are other houses and what have you, but we've also been told at the end that only one house is really going to get to survive, because this is sort of a trial run, we're told. So maybe we're not exactly sure. Has the world really ended? Are the images that they see on the TV and whatever about the apocalypse, are they really happening, or is it all simulated or whatever? Because these houses that they live in, like, they can basically sort of make wishes, write things down that they want, and the next morning that's just like there on the doorstep, kind of like Christmas. And so, there are powers, there are abilities. We get some hints of how the houses were built in this particular issue. So when we start talking about that premise, like who deserves to live and who doesn't if the world's coming to an end, what about the relationships? What about the relationships between, Walter and Max, who pretended to be human and while they were recruiting and growing? Because it was over probably around a decade that it took, if not longer, for them to recruit these people. So, I mean, even though it has the fantastical science fiction element to it and, end of the world drama or whatever, where this book really shines is in the interactions between the characters. And we saw that in the first series, Nice House by the Lake. Now it's expanded because not only do you have the interactions between the people in each house, but the houses are interacting with each other and they're aware that only one of them can survive. So toward the end of this one, the denizens of Nice House by the Sea sort of launch an attack on the Nice House by the Lake residents, trying to preemptively survive. So kill or be killed is kind of what they're thinking. And so again, where this really shines is in the character dynamics. But even though this is the second 12-issue mini, it feels like we're barely scratching the surface of this story. And Tynion has said it's a really big story. I want to say I've heard like 60 issues, like 5 12-issue series. So I have mixed feelings about that because I love the story and it's really high quality. But on the other hand, if it takes a year to get 6 issues, we're talking 10. That's 10 years. If it's 6 issues a year,
a long time.
And it's 60 issues. I don't know. Do I have it in me to I don't know. Maybe I'll move away from it and come back to it later after Mora's out or whatever. But anyway, I say all that to say I really enjoyed it. I hope we don't have delays this long again, because it is a really fascinating story with a lot.
Did it make your top 5?
Yes. Yes, it did.
I'm just curious. I mean, you talk so much about it, I assume.
Yeah. I mean, I knew it was in my top 5, but yeah, I was looking to see, and yeah, it is in my top 3.
Yeah.
So yeah, anything to add, Rocky? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure because it's in your top as well.
Yeah, it is, and it's also in my top 3. I've said this before when we reviewed it over a year ago, that this really would make a fantastic Netflix series. And it has a lot in common with a good Netflix show, because often the really great Netflix series or the shows that are really good when they're streamed, often there's like a year, sometimes a 2-year break in between seasons, which is very frustrating to us fans that love the shows. But this is the comic. And so when you asked, yes, maybe it loses momentum, but I got to tell you, when you have an issue like this, Nice House by the Sea, issue 7, it was so clever of James Tynion, the writer, to pull me back into the story again, and it felt it sort of flooded back because he did a flashback. He very wisely did a flashback that was relevant to the story. It was between 2 characters, with Walter talking to. I can't remember the character's name. Anyways, one of the characters who helped him set up the Nice House by the Lake, and sort of giving readers to help readers like us who've been a while since we read it, bring us back up to speed. And it's really good. And it has a survivor-like theme to it. All these enclaves of various aliens and their various houses and their different humans that they've chosen with different skill sets. And we've just been shown 2 of them, the Nice House by the Lake and the Nice House by the Sea. And the inhabitants of the Nice House by the Sea, of course, want to take out the other inhabitants. And all that is building. This is very a slow build. Not a heck of a lot happens, really, but you get such great character work. And like you said, it's really great to have that character, the breakdown of the characters at the back, because, knowing who they are and seeing them visually represented and getting reminded every issue is really, really helpful, especially on this, because it is such a slow build. I won't elaborate. You gave the gist of the storyline to people. We'll be talking about it from month to month. But yeah, this is a must read. Guys, if you want to do yourselves a favor, strong recommend, pick up if you really want to give yourself a treat, pick up the hardcover of the original Nice House by the Lake. You won't be disappointed. It's actually a self-contained story. It just happens to have a beautiful segue into what is Nice House by the Sea, which is the second volume. And the fact that we might get 5, I mean, it's a great time to start collecting comics because you'll have some entertainment for at least the next 5 years by the sounds of things. So,
Yeah. Yeah, Reginald is the guy that helped him build it, which is so interesting and fascinating to me because he's listed as the painter. But yeah, it seems like he has all this tech knowledge or whatever. And I do want to say one thing. I don't want anybody think I'm being critical of Alvaro because I don't want any other artist on this series. I don't want to fill in whatever. I just want Alvaro's art. And it takes as long as it takes. And it's gorgeous. So,
it is.
Any frustration I have with kind of the delay is only because I love it so much. I hate having to wait for each installment. So, all right. Up next, we have Batman Static Beyond #3. Story by Evan Narcisse. Art by Miguel Mendoca for this 3rd issue. Colors by Will Quintana. Letters by Wes Abbott. Now, this is not in my top 5. It comes in at number 8 for me. But I will say that I enjoyed this particular issue so much more than the first 2 issues. Like, I really feel almost like after reading this that the first 2 issues were sort of set up. And now it feels like here's the action, here's the story. This is Elseworld, so we're seeing a much older Static who's interacting with Terry McGinnis, who's kind of a young Batman Beyond in terms of he's just sort of starting out. Bruce Wayne is still alive, mentoring Terry and what have you. And so, it is Elseworld, so continuity light, but so many familiar characters. Shutdown, who's a character I think that appeared as a Batman Beyond villain in the cartoon, what have you. So I thought the art, I'm a huge fan of Miguel Mendoca. He's such a fantastic artist. So yeah, I really enjoyed this much more than the first 2 issues. And so that's got me thinking this story may read a lot better in a trade, which, when it's Elseworlds, that kind of makes sense because things may be being shifted around and changed in terms of characters and events and what have you. So, having it all in one complete package might just be better. So anyway, anything to add, Rocky?
Yeah, I think this will read better as a trade. I don't know why. I don't know if this has been delayed, this issue. It feels to me like it's been such a long time since I read a previous issue of this. It probably hasn't been delayed. It's just there's so much competition. But no, the art is fantastic, and this was an exciting issue. This was definitely more memorable than the first 2 issues, and I really like the older Static. I really like that. I like that interaction. I like him almost more like a mentor as opposed to the mentee. So I really like this. So I actually hope, I'm going to be looking forward to, like, I am actually, oddly enough, which is weird, I'm actually collecting the physical copies of this series because I have this thing where I like collecting Elseworlds tales, and so this will be something that I'll be appreciating before I'll be rereading it before the end of it. So. But it didn't make my top 5. It came in. I actually put this there. That it was actually close to the bottom for me. It was actually at number 10. But it's not because it wasn't good. It's just that this was a really great week. I really enjoyed this week. A lot of competition.
Yeah, every single book I got enjoyment out of. So yeah, 8 for me. So yeah, it's toward the bottom. And you're right. We didn't get an issue in January, but the second issue came out December 24th, so Christmas Eve. And then we're getting this the first week of February, so 6 weeks. Not a full skip month, if you will. So, all right. Up next, we have Batgirl #16 from writer Tate Brombal. Takeshi Miyazawa handles the pencils and inks. Juan Castro also assists on the inks. Mike Spicer on colors. I haven't really been enjoying the Batgirl series for a while. I felt like it's sort of started to drag a little bit, but we know she's going to be back in Gotham next issue because this finally kind of wraps up almost the first big story that Brombal was telling with Lady Shiva's death and Batgirl out there for revenge and what have you. And we also have hints from the solicitations that somewhere along the way during this adventure, or I don't even know what you'd call it, mission that Batgirl's been on to avenge her mother's death, that she's gained the ability to create weapons out of blood. I guess her own blood in a way, bladed weapons a la Carnage, maybe. But I say all that to say I enjoyed this issue more than maybe any issue since like the first couple. I really, really enjoyed this. I felt like there was more action. I felt like a big chunk of story, but maybe it's just because we got resolution. But I liked a lot of the ideas of what Nisa was trying to do to get the blue poppies for herself. And so I thought there was a lot of good in this issue. And the art, no matter when the stories felt like it's bogged down a little bit to me or not, the Miyazawa Takeshi's art has been fantastic throughout. I never had a complaint about that. So yeah, I did really enjoy this. I'm pretty sure it's the highest I've rated Batgirl in quite a while. It came in at number 7 for me. So
Yeah. Oh, that is high for you. I'm impressed. I'm good. You're slowly being converted, hopefully.
Well, now this is going to be back in Gotham. I'll probably enjoy the next issue even more.
Well, it came in at number 6 for me. I really enjoyed this. I love the journey that Cassandra Cain's been on to take her to this point. Cassandra Cain's mother, Lady Shiva, was killed, seemingly killed. She's probably still alive. It is comics, but she's seemingly killed by the Unburied. Cassandra Cain, wanting to avenge her mother, seeks the Unburied. It takes her to San Sira, which is sort of this lost land. And Nisa Al Ghul is there, and Nisa Al Ghul wants to also conquer the Unburied and destroy and. Originally said she wanted to destroy these blue poppies, which were the source of the power of the Unburied. But as it turns out, Lady Shiva, along with Nisa, they were ultimately the Unburied aren't the bad guys, but the Unburied did kill Lady Shiva, but they had their reasons. And I love the arc that Cassandra Cain is on, as well as her brother Jade Tagger, where she doesn't kill. She has an opportunity to kill the Unburied, but the sins of the mother don't have to necessarily be the sins of the daughter. And she once again, like she did in her Destruction's Daughter story arc 25 years ago, she's overcome her upbringing and manages to embrace the better angels of her nature. And Cassandra Cain does not kill the Unburied. She basically allows them to thrive. She leaves them. She defeats Nisa Al Ghul. And what I thought was a very powerful scene, for me anyways, is that Nisa Al Ghul doesn't have the power to feel. She uses her ability, her martial arts, instead of to injure Nisa Al Ghul, she actually restores to Nisa Al Ghul the ability to feel emotion again. Because Nisa Al Ghul, part of the reason why Nisa was so relentless in wanting to acquire the blue poppies and be more prone to corruption, was that because she could not legitimately feel. It was one of the curses of being continuously exposed to the Lazarus pits. But now Cassandra Cain has restored the ability to feel to Nisa Al Ghul, which will have consequences on Nisa Al Ghul, as well as Nisa's LGBTQ relationship with Angel Breaker. So, and also great character development, Cassandra Cain and her brother Jade Tagger. I just love the relationship building and the mythology building that Tate Brombal's done here, and I've really been enjoying this series, and I particularly love cover A. It's really gorgeous, and cover B, even though it's a pink cover, I gotta admit it's it's pretty cool for a pink cover. It's not pink hair; it's a pink cover.
I haven't been collecting this physically, but yeah, that Jorge Fornes cover, I'm tempted. I may pick it up when I'm at my shop. Like I said, as much as I felt like this is bogged down at times in the mythology, I do like the mythology. I do like the mythology of the Lazarus Pits and Ra's al Ghul and League of Shadows and whatever. And it's interesting. We have Lady Shiva dead. Ra's has been dead for quite some time. Will Nisa survive? Yes, she has empathy restored to her, the ability to feel. But she doesn't have the Lazarus Pits. Now her plan to have the blue poppies failed. Yeah, pretty interesting times in that corner of the Bat universe, as it were. All right, up next we have DCKO Knightfight, issue number 4. This is the final issue, written by Joshua Williamson, Dan Mora on art, Triona Farrell on colors. Alfred Wayne apparently had to fill in on the first page of colors. And then Tom Napolitano handles the letters. So this series has gotten hot recently. In fact, if you missed issue, I think it's issue 1. There's another printing. Issue 1 has a second printing, including a foil design cover of the special Knightfight armor that Bruce is wearing. in this particular issue. So pretty interesting. But yeah, this actually made my top 3.
Oh my God.
For a really interesting reason. But I know Rocky didn't particularly care for it. So, or at least it's not in your top 5. So
no, it's not.
Yeah. So you go first, and then I'll talk about why I put it in my top.
It came in at number 9 for me. I didn't. First of all, I want to be clear. I think it's actually the irony here is that I know exactly why this series has become popular, and I predict this will become more popular. And frankly, speculator alert. I think it's something that you want to get, even if you guys aren't enjoying this. Buy this. That's one of the reasons I'm doing it. If for no other reason that it was last issue was the first appearance of Alfred, who is the son of Dick Grayson. I think somehow that this new world, this alternate reality that's been created by the Omega Sanction, by the Heart of Apocalypse, I think it's going to at some point become a reality because it's clear that's where this narrative is headed. This issue just is completely whacked for me. I just. As a story, I want to be clear. I got to watch myself as a reviewer. I got to review the story that's told, not the story I wanted it to be. And so, in fairness, the story that is told, it does have some resonance. It does resonate some powerful emotions. This is Batman, who the Heart of Apocalypse punished Batman because Batman tried to cheat himself out of the DCKO tournament. Batman was killed by the Joker. Batman tried to cheat and try to return himself to the tournament, but the Heart of Apocalypse didn't let him do that. Instead, it sought to punish him by sending him and testing him on these alternate worlds by having Batman essentially fight different versions of his family members over the last 3 issues, culminating in this 4th and final issue. And really, in this issue, we find an older Bruce Wayne loving his life. He's got his grandson Alfred. He's got his loving family. He's all the members of the Bat family are there. They love him. He loves them. Heck, he even creates a Bat box. You know, we got the mother box and the father box. He created a Bat box, and he's got a great relationship with his grandson. There's some really heartfelt moments here. This is scripted really well. Good dialogue, and it really tugs at the heartstrings. And at the same time, they also know that everyone in this sort of created world knows that they only exist because of the Heart of Apocalypse, and they know that they have to have a fight, and so an older Bruce Wayne fights an older Dick Grayson, and they realize they still have to fight. He still has to fight to basically survive and get out of there and go back to the tournament, and ultimately he does that. I'm a little disappointed in the ending a little bit, only because Batman is defeated, only for the Omega Sanction or the Heart of Apocalypse to say that, oh well, this is the lesson I wanted to teach you. Now that you've lost, now you know what it's like to lose, and because you know what it's like to lose, you can re-enter the tournament to become King Omega, and because are you ready now? Now that you realize what has to be done, now that you've lost and you've lost all that, now you have something to fight for. Now you've saw this beautiful world that could exist. The only way that world can exist is if you win the tournament and become King Omega. So this was essentially the Omega Sanction's way of saying, okay, Batman, this is your perfect world. You want to get it? You failed, but you can still succeed I'll send you back into the tournament because you have failed. And so Batman then ultimately is, at the end of this issue, he ostensibly appears to be being sent back to the tournament. So just when you thought Batman was disqualified or kicked out of the tournament because the Joker killed him, he's going to be making his way back into the tournament, which as a story, I got to say, it's a good story. It's a good story. Is it the story that I want for DCKO event? No. I don't want Batman to return to the tournament, but I will give full props here. It's a good story. It had, it was a well-written. This is better than I thought it was going to be. It really is, and I can understand why people love this, because it's sort of the touchy-feely Batman who's he's not grim and gritty anymore. He hasn't been for about 5 to 10 years. He's been evolving into a more family-oriented Batman, let's face it. And this is really the epitome of that. epitomized by grandfather and young grandson Alfie, But so I thought it was good. I just, I'm so tempted. I want to play Script Doctor, but that's probably unfair. So for that reason, it's not in my top 5, but I can see why. I really like the cover A. I like the cover A, and I can understand why people like it. And you have it ranked much higher than me, so I'm really curious to hear why you put it so high on your list.
Yeah, part of it, a big part of it, maybe the majority of the reason I decided to rank this so high is because at the end of the day, Joshua Williamson is effing with the DC fans and Scott Snyder. Because, while this book was written by Williamson, that when they were playing, that Scott and Josh are, they're co-show running this DCKO event. And, they put out DC puts out the bracket, the marketing puts out the bracket. A bunch of people go and make their picks. We did it with Steve, we made our picks or whatever. And then we all have the rug pulled out from under us and go, no. Screw you guys. Batman doesn't even make it into the tournament. Because so many people are Batman fans. A lot of people had Batman going deep in the tournament. No. Batman doesn't even make it. Turns out the Joker's in there instead. Yeah. Batman's over here doing this other thing. We know how arbitrary and capricious the rules are. The Heart of Apocalypse just does whatever it wants to do. You could make the argument that there are no real hard and fast rules. And so he's over there. And yeah, it felt a little derivative at first because, just an excuse for members of the Bat family to fight. And, so I wasn't really sucked into this series. But on the other hand, the Dan Mora art throughout has been really dynamic. And it's great to see these different, almost Elseworlds, alternate reality type versions of the costumes, seeing older versions of the characters and possible future timelines and whatever. And then we get to the end and it's like, okay, we killed Batman right at the start and substituted with Joker and effed everybody's brackets up. But now Josh is turning to, and maybe Scott, who knows how much input he had, they're turning to their past selves and going, hold my beer. Guess what? Batman's back in the tournament. So at this point, everybody's bracket would be complete. Even if you went back, okay, let's go back and adjust whatever. Batman's not in the tournament. Surprise, surprise. Batman's returning to the tournament. Could he win the whole thing? Now he's got a different perspective. He's seen a possible future that he could create if he gains the power of the King Omega. That's really, 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 really fun. And so, more so than any issue of the DCKO Spine series, more so than any issue that's tied in with the one-shots or crossovers in people's regular series or whatever, this issue of Knightfight, this issue 4 of Knightfight, to me epitomizes the fun that's possible in this series, which in a way is a little frustrating, and it's completely my own fault. Because I finished reading all the books for this week over the weekend, and I was like, oh, let me go look at next week's books. And DCKO 4 was in there already, so I'm like, oh, I got to read it. And
no spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers, but yeah, I've already had a chance to read it. I know that's a privilege or whatever, but yeah, I have strong thoughts about it. So pretty interesting. To have strong feelings about this issue and then read DCKO 4 and come at it from a different perspective. So I thought that was really interesting, and it goes back to what I tell Rocky all the time. Man, I don't like reading ahead because then I feel like it retroactively colors my opinion on previous books or whatever. So I try to keep that separate in mind. But when I saw it in there, I couldn't not, and it was super late too. I had gone for a run and I came back. It was 12:30. And I was having a little bit of Greek yogurt before I jumped in the shower, and I happened to look and I saw it. And I'm like, I gotta stay up 20 minutes later so I can read this DCKO 4. So anyway, I really enjoyed this. You mentioned the touchy-feely Batman. It's in a way the way Bruce is with his family here reminds me a lot of the way Superman is with his family, as we've seen recently. And that's, I just loved that. I loved getting kind of a lighter Batman, if you will. So I
will give one, I think, a constructive criticism here. is that I know he's Batman, but it's so obvious because he's Batman. Like, why does the Heart of Apocalypse, why is he giving Batman a second chance? Why doesn't he give that to everybody? I mean, it just seems... And why would the Heart of Apocalypse give Batman of all people a second chance when he's by far the one who's least filled with evil or darkness or anti-life? And it just seems, it just seems so forced from but from an obvious corporate point of view. I know it's Batman. Yes, I get it. Exactly. I obviously why. Yeah. But I was actually really looking forward. I didn't miss Batman. I have no desire to see him back into the tournament. I didn't need him back in the tournament. I've been enjoying the tournament for what it's been. We've been critical a little bit, but I'm still having fun with it. I didn't need Batman back, but it's okay that he is. It's just, I guess it's just another little wrinkle into things. But at the end of the day, I'm still having a lot of fun. I'm still enjoying it. I'm still having fun. We'll get into the criticism of DCKO moving forward in the next month or so, but I'm still having fun. And this is, hey man, DC is still firing on all cylinders and all this. And people are talking about this event. People are talking about this event, good, bad, and every place in between. And it's working for DC. And it's been, there's a reason why they dominated market share in 2025 and continue to do so.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have plenty of critics. They're going to people, such a cop-out. They just put him back in because he's their most popular character. Or whatever. Well, yeah, partly. But also because it is fun. But I'm with you. I mean, Batman is probably the most overused character in all of fiction right now. So, I was happy to see him off the table. What would have been great is to have seen him off the table and not even have this, what's he up to? I mean, we have the Detective Comics series. We have the regular Batman book. Plus, we have the Hush 2 book coming out. Plus, he's always in this miniseries and that miniseries and whatever. So I would have been fine to have a little bit of a break. But yeah, it is what it is. He pays the bills, so
that's right.
He's going to continue to do that. All right. Speaking of Batman, up next we have issue 6 of the regular Batman series, Batman by Matt Fraction. As the writer, Jorge Jimenez handling the art, Tomeo Mora on colors, Clayton Cowell with Jorge Jimenez handling the letters. It's entitled Long Night. Picks up right where the last issue left off with Damian inadvertently revealing Batman's identity to his date, his secret identity. We see a little bit of the fallout of that in terms of the interaction between Bruce and Damian. I won't go into too much detail because while I did really enjoy this, and I really feel like Matt Fraction has a clear idea in his head of who Batman is, and he continues to do a fantastic job on the characterization. It's not quite as light as I thought it was when I talked to Matt in San Diego, a few years ago before his run started. Or I guess it was last year. Was it last year? It was last year.
I think it was.
Time flies. It was last year on Sunday. But the other surprise that I will mention, because I'm not quite sure how I feel about, have mixed feelings, and especially if you look at the Jim Lee cover, you'll see it homages the real very famous X-Men. I think it's X-Men 138, Uncanny X-Men, where Cyclops has a bag over his shoulder and he's walking away from the X-Men. He's quit the team after Jean got killed. So we see Tim Drake. He's the one walking away. He's quit being Robin. Tim has become very redundant and kind of unused. I think they don't know what to do. Like so many of those characters, Connell, Superboy, basically Impulse, all those Young Justice characters, because we now have newer versions, right? So we have the classic versions and we have the newer versions. And the late 90s versions of these characters have sort of been forgotten. And we've talked about it in the past, so I won't rehash it here. But the only reason I mention it is because maybe, if DC handles this right, they could have Tim come back in a different way. I mean, I know they tried to have him be Red Robin. It didn't really take off or whatever. I thought it was a poor choice anyway, because, here in the U.S., that's the name of a fast casual restaurant. And they had a pretty strong marketing program at one point where it was Red Robin Yum, and so people would say Red Robin, and then everybody would respond with Yum, even when they were talking about Tim Drake. Poor guy couldn't catch a break, but I do have a soft spot in my heart for him because he is my Robin in a lot of ways. because I did collect that series that came out in the 90s. It went well over 100 issues, 130 something issues, I think. And yeah, I loved Tim. So we'll see how that all plays out. But yeah, again, just based on the strength of the week, this didn't quite make my my top 5 this week. But what are your thoughts on it, Rocky?
Yeah, I didn't have. This wasn't near as good as the last issue, which, of course, the last issue I think is one of the best, probably the best single issues I've read of Batman in years. Just absolutely fantastic. The fallout here is very slow. Very little happens this issue. But it's all character based. I mean, we literally have three pages of like 8-panel grids of Bruce Wayne just sitting beside Doctor. What the hell's her name? Doctor. I forget her name. The doctor that he went on a date with. In any event, it's just more fallout from that, and then he's angry at Damian. Well, okay, and then Tim is leaving going off on his own to live with Bernard and doing whatever there is they're going to be doing together, and probably live by the boathouse. I don't know what they're going to do, and then he's going to come back invariably at some point in the future. That's fine. You're right. He's going to return. Tim Drake is absolutely one of the more popular Robins. There's no denying that. He's been really badly mishandled, I think, in the last little bit by DC, and so I think he's due for probably some sort of breakout. At the end here, I'm curious. There's a revelation at the end here. I think it's a revelation. I don't know who the Doctor is communicating with, but I don't know who the character is on the final page. Are we supposed to know who this character is that's communicating almost telepathically? I don't know. So I'm a little bit curious. It's an interesting cliffhanger. If anybody knows who that is, let me know. Am I wrong in thinking that's a new character, or is it an existing character and I've missed the memo? I don't know, but
yeah, I get so much trauma, white skin, green hair. Like, is it Joker? Is that Joker? Like, yeah, I saw that as well, and I'm like, really? Oh, God, I hope that's not the Joker. Dr. Annika Zeller is the character's name. Yeah, but yeah, I had no idea that. And what's funny is that's almost like an epilogue, because we get the credits page. The final night title page and everything, and then we get that, which is a completely different tone from the rest of the book. So it was really interesting. All right, let's move on. Up next, we have Poison Ivy number 41. G. Willow Wilson is the writer. David Jean-Felice, guest artist on this particular issue. Arif Prianto on letters. Hassan Otsman Elhau. Arif Prianto on colors. Hassan Otsman Elhau on the letters. We talked about it before. We've hinted at it. We've mentioned it, that Poison Ivy is going to become the mayor of Gotham. This is the issue where she decides she's going to run for mayor. It's a really interesting structure to the story. Poison Ivy's captured. She's arrested. She spends the majority of this issue in a jail cell. Janet from HR is actually out there doing legwork for her. So it's kind of interesting that G. Willow Wilson structures the story this way and does a fantastic job of still moving the story forward and still making it feel like Poison Ivy has some agency, even though she spends the majority of the issue behind bars. So pretty interesting. It makes sense, the journey that Poison Ivy has gone on, to the fact that she's decided to run for office. Because when we first heard, or at least when I first heard, hey, she's going to run for mayor and win and become mayor, I was like, how does she go from where she's at right now to then becoming mayor? Like, that was a big leap. G. Willow Wilson has done a good job of kind of connecting those dots, if you will. So I sound like a broken record when it comes to this book. This is in my top 5. I have every reason to believe that Poison Ivy is going to make it to issue 50, which, like, if you would have told me that before this series started, I would have said no. Even if you told me that after the first couple issues, I'd have been like, no, you're crazy. Because I think of characters like Aquaman, who's been around he's one of the first DC characters. He's been around since the Golden Age. He's never had a series go to 50 issues. And yet, here we have G. Willow Wilson turning Poison Ivy into this amazing character, complicated and layered and fleshed out and relatable in so many different ways. this is a character in a series that deserves to go to 50 issues. It's so well done, and people have been showing up for it. So again, it's such a fantastic series, and setting aside the political sort of overtones here of basically you're going to have Poison Ivy in City Hall as the mayor, sort of diametrically opposed to the sort of the fascist policies of the Gotham City Police Department under the heavy-handed rule of Vandal Savage. Also, inherently in the character of Poison Ivy, you have climate change and save the planet and stop pollution and all that. So, right from the start, people say, "Oh, politics don't belong in comics." Or I finally recall those days where they didn't put politics in comics. Man, from the time Poison Ivy was created, she was a very political character with her message about saving the environment and what have you. So,
For sure.
Really interesting to do that and not beat us over the head with it, where you feel like this is a preachy comic or it's just these ideas and these values are inherent to the character, and that comes across, but it never comes across as preachy. So fantastic job by G. Willow Wilson. I admit I did miss a little bit the Marcio Takara art, but I thought David Jean-Felice did a fantastic job. I don't think that his style is so radically different from Takara's style that when this is collected, it'll be jarring or anything like that. So all in all, just a really solid issue for a really solid series. Really enjoyed it. And I think I'm not sure if I said, it came in at number 5 for me.
Yeah, it came in at number 5 for me too. I've really been enjoying this. It's sad to say that it possesses the degree of verisimilitude that it does, because normally I'd be inclined to say that the likelihood of Poison Ivy successfully becoming mayor of Gotham City is about as likely as a pedophile becoming president of the United States. But these are the times that we live in, right? And so, yeah, it absolutely is politics, and yeah, I believe it. And the people of Gotham City, they've had great people that have been mayor. They've had people that have been on the bright side of morality, and they've had enough. And Poison Ivy's murder of one of Vandal Savage's minions goes viral, and she actually increases in popularity. Is that believable? Yes, it is. It is, based upon the real world that we live in, or what I observe in your country, my friend. And that's just the way it is. And I believe it, and I think it's going to be a good story. I enjoy it. And now I will say, as a little bit of a nitpick I have, she's in jail. All of a sudden, Harley Quinn, it's like J. Willow Wilson she's begging editorial, can I please use Harley Quinn? It's like editorial won't let her use Harley Quinn. Suddenly Harley Quinn literally shows up out of the blue in the jail cell. And we don't even know how Harley got there. Harley doesn't even reveal how she got there. Kind of doesn't make any sense. And then I think Pamela Isley, I think she almost shows a little bit too much. I don't feel that Pamela should show Harley so much affection. Harley's not been around. Harley hasn't been around for hasn't been around for Pamela, what she's experienced. Janet from HR has. And yes, I'm more of a fan of a love interest, Janet from HR with Pamela. I think Janet from HR has actually earned it. Harley hasn't been around. Harley's been willy-nilly. Harley shows up when she wants and then leaves. Frankly, she's a terrible girlfriend. Now, you can tell me that, well, that's just the way Pamela and Harley are. That's the nature of their relationship. They can, they have an understanding. They have their little fun with other people and then come back to each other. But I want to see some more tension there. And I'm looking forward to that while Pamela's becoming mayor. I love this series. I think it's great the way it's going. It possesses verisimilitude. I love it. And yeah, J. Willow Wilson, you're doing a great job. I agree with you on the art. Art didn't bother me at all. David Jean-Felice, great job. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I never have really liked Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn as a couple. I completely agree with you. Much better off Janet from HR or what have you. But it's so interesting. So many relationships with DC where I'm like, I don't like Tim and Barbara together. I don't like Bruce and Selena together. I don't like Harley and Ivy together. It's like, who do you like? I like Lois and Clark together. But yeah, Pamela and Janet from HR. That's a much better. Because again, I think it is part of the thing of okay, so many people do love Harley and Ivy together, and we have the series from Erica Henderson, and I like their character interaction there.
Yeah.
But it's sort of new. It's like it's almost like the relationship that we have here that we're seeing is like okay, the honeymoon period's over. In those books, the other books that we're seeing, Harley and Ivy together, it's like okay, it's when they were first getting together because the life and crimes, and we have another one coming up from Tinny Howard and Babs Tarr, but I think a lot of it is just the fact of where Poison Ivy is right before. I mean, think about where she was before her series started. When she had been separate, she'd been split in two. She was showing up in the pages of Batman. Prior to those events, I think that was during Tynion's run. Prior to those events, she was showing up in Harley every month because she didn't have her own book. It's really, I think, a challenge for DC to keep that relationship alive when G. Willow Wilson wants to write her Poison Ivy story and have her go in that direction, and somebody else is writing Harley and it's going in a different direction. I mean, you really start getting wonky. I mean, for some characters, they don't seem to care. Like we have Batman doing whatever he's doing in the pages of Detective Comics, which is clearly much different continuity or timeline than what's going on in the regular Batman title. So it's kind of interesting in a lot of ways when you think about it.
Yeah.
All right, up next, this one's in Rocky's top, but not mine. It's DCKO Boss Battle. This one came in at number 9 for me. It's written by Jeremy Adams. You have several artists, each handling different parts of the book when different heroes are fighting these different guests. I guess they're villains in a lot of ways. But the art, Ronan Cliquet, Carmine Di Giandomenico, Kieran McCowan, and Pablo M. Calar. Hi-Fi handles the colors, Tom Napolitano on letters. The reason that I did enjoy this, it was fun, but the reason that I ranked it as low or high, however you want to think about it, as I did, was because I felt like in these particular battles, I just wanted more of it. There's so many cool ideas in these characters that we don't traditionally see in DC matching up against these villains, and it was really cool. But I wish that this had been more than one issue. So, or maybe. I mean, I think this is larger than a regular issue. It's 31 or 30 pages. So, maybe you give me 15 pages and 15 pages, where we get, because basically we've got Superman fighting Homelander. We've got Wonder Woman fighting Red Sonja. We've got the Joker fighting Annabelle. We've got Lex Luthor fighting Samantha Strong. Who I can't remember who Batman or Batwoman was fighting against. But anyway, you have all these different matchups.
Vampirella.
Yeah, Vampirella. That's right. So again, you have all these different matchups, and I felt like Jeremy had to go so quick because he only had a couple pages for each of the matchups, and then based on the story that's happening, the different realities start clashing together. Instead of everybody fighting their particular matchup in one particular area, they all end up in the same sort of gladiator coliseum that Wonder Woman and Red Sonja are fighting in. So I ranked this a little bit lower just for the potential that I think it had that was a missed opportunity. And again, that's not on Jeremy. He had to write within whatever editorial confines that they gave him. In my mind, it's a poor editorial decision. This should have been maybe 2 or 3 30-page issues or a series of one-shots. You make them the regular size, 20, 22 pages. Superman versus Homelander. Another one-shot, Wonder Woman versus Red Sonja. And give the story time to breathe, as opposed to mashing it all together in one. Because when they announced this at New York Comic Con, people went nuts. They were super excited that we were getting characters that we don't normally see, like Homelander, Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Samantha Strong. If you're not familiar, that's the serial killer bear from Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. So again, I just ranked it. Maybe it's not fair for me to do so, but I ranked it a little bit lower, just based on, again, potential that I thought was missed. Anyway, what are your thoughts on it, Rocky?
This is the most fun I've had for all the DCKO tie-ins was this issue. You said the most fun you've had for the DCKO tie issue was Batman Knightfight issue 4, which we just reviewed. I thought this was a lot of fun. As far as your criticism, which I don't disagree with, should these fights have been longer? Absolutely, but they weren't. But guess what? None of the fights have been particularly long.
That's true.
In any of the issues. So that, for me, I don't disagree with you because I want the fights to be longer too. But I just think, first of all, from a storytelling point of view, this makes so much more sense to me than the nonsense we got in than Batman Knightfight. Here it makes sense that the World Forger says, "Oh my God! Before the Final Four can fight the Absolute Trinity, before that happens, they need more Omega Energy, or they're going to get their ass kicked. So the only way to get more Omega Energy, the World Forger, of course, he's the person. He goes, we're gonna have to create more Omega Energy for you. How do you do that? We'll send you to alternate worlds where you can fight others and build up more Omega Energy." It's such a simple, basic plot point, but it works. And the fact that I can have Sabrina the Teenage Witch fighting Carol Ferris. My God, I mean that's that's awesome. And to see Wonder Woman and Red Sonja, Superman, and the High Homelander. This is really good stuff. Even Annabelle and the Joker, I thought there were some good moments there. I wanted there to be more moments, of course. There was even a little bit of some teasing sexual innuendo between Vampirella and Batwoman, if you want to read between the lines. I thought Jeremy did a really good job of sort of like of teasing us, giving us just enough for all this, because it's a lot to cram into one issue. But calling it Boss Battle, I love the name. And I hope this gets a lot of attention. I'm inclined. My retailer probably will sell out of all the covers before I can acquire them all, but I'm inclined to get all the covers too. I thought it was pretty cool. Even Samantha Strong fighting Lex Luthor. I mean, Lex Luthor looks what I love about it, the way the artist renders him when Lex Luthor is attacked by Samantha Strong. I don't think I've ever seen Lex Luthor more terrified than when he's attacked by the bear. He looks absolutely terrified. So it was just moments. There was lots of just moments where I really had so much fun. I'm laughing talking about it. And so this is, for me, this is number one. This is, at the end of the day, it's silly that, I mean, this is in many ways the whole plot point. All the major plot points of DCKO has been they're kind of silly in and of itself. But when you have moments like this that are just plain fun, it sort of brings everything home, and it makes it. It's the lightheartedness that sort of like pulls me back from being too overly critical of the overarching narrative, which it's very easy to nitpick, quite frankly. And something like this, I didn't realize how much I needed this kind of issue. I really appreciate this. And I got to tell you, I think this is inspired. A rising tide raises all ships. And I just want to throw something out there. You know, we've had a crossover between DC and Marvel with Deadpool, Batman. With we're going to be getting Superman, Spider-Man. With the success of the absolute titles, I'm wondering if more and more overlap between characters from other independent comics, Dynamite, et cetera, et cetera. I wonder if this is. I mean, because these characters are going to benefit. That are in this DC title from other publishing houses, they're going to benefit from this crossover, and that's for very good reason, because this ends, of course, with the Final Four moving toward battle against the Absolute Trinity. So this is a hell of a cliffhanger, and of course, everybody, you want to pick up DCKO number 4. This is the type of cliffhanger you want going into DCKO number 4, in my opinion. For me, this just had a shit-eating grin on my face. I loved the hell out of this one.
Yeah, it was a great ending. It was a great cliffhanger. And I mean, this is the reason I read DCKO4 when I saw because of this and giant letters. Hey, DCKO4, what's going to
Yeah.
come next? And then when I looked and I saw it was there, I flashed back to this, going, yeah, what's going to happen after that cool fight? But you're right. Somebody who picks this up, hey, I want to see. They're a Homelander fan. They pick it up because they want to see Homelander fight Superman. Maybe they have the same feeling. Oh, what, DCKO4. Maybe I'll pick that up. Maybe it has more Homelander, more of that fight or whatever. And I'm not saying it's bait and switch, whatever. Spoiler: it doesn't. Homelander does not show up in DCKO4. None of these characters do. But yeah, it might spark some interest. I mean, that's the reason you do intercompany crossovers, right? You hope to retain some of that readership and people follow. You have some cross pollination. All right, up next we have JSA 16. It's year 1, chapter 4 from writer Jeff Lemire. Art by Gavin Guidry, colors by Luis Guerrero, letters by Steve Wands. Again, another book that I really, really enjoyed, even though it came in at number 10 for me. It is year 1. We're seeing one of the earliest Golden Age villains, kind of his updated origin, if you will, the Ultra Humanite, who most people, when they think of him, they think of the giant white gorilla. Well, that was the body that eventually he transplanted his brain into, but he was human at one point. But this does feel like a story we've had before, the origin of the JSA, because we have, and that's the only reason it's ranked a little bit higher for me at number 10. But again, I am enjoying this. The Gavin Guidry art is fantastic, and in another week it would have probably been a lot higher without as many other strong books competition. So, what are your thoughts on it, Rocky?
Well, not much to share. I mean, the Gavin Guidry art is, I think it's good. It's just the story. The story just doesn't really excite me all that much, and not a lot is happening here. And honestly, I wish Jeff Lemire gave Gavin Guidry more exciting scenes to draw. It's a lot of just people. They're just sort of standing around. I mean, and is this the way? And it's so tropey. It's literally every single member of the Justice Society. They're all jerks to each other. They don't want to work together. I think Johnny Thunder and Jay Garrick are the only ones that are inclined to work together. I mean,
I'll push back on that. Adam and Hippolyta, Wonder Woman.
What Hippolyta says to Hawkgirl, maybe you should have stayed there when she says that we just got back from Peru.
No, I'm saying Adam and Hippolyta seem to want to work together.
Well, no, yeah, them together, but they don't seem to work well with others. I'm just. That's all I'm saying. I mean, it's comical. I get it. It just seems to me it's just, the threat just seems so. I guess because all these other titles that we're reading, the threats and the villains seem more imposing, and then in this title we just have the Ultra Humanite, which it just doesn't. It just doesn't quite.
Yeah,
the gravitas isn't there. Yeah,
when he's not in the giant gorilla body.
Yeah,
he is much less. Yeah,
less intimidating.
Choice to put him in a giant gorilla body.
Yeah, but again, Gavin Guidry he's a good artist, and this is I guess this will probably read well as a trade and maybe be appreciated later. But I just I'm not really feeling it, because of. But again, it's like you said, in any other week it may be ranked higher for me. But I had it down in it was number 10 for me.
Yeah, I mean, you do keep in mind, it's been quite a while since we've had a Justice Society series, so I almost feel like this is aimed at people that are not as familiar as we are with the JSA.
Yeah.
Because for somebody who's not familiar with them, this is probably, pretty interesting, because you're getting the origin, the early days of these characters. So I can see it being a little more compelling as opposed to, I know you, read the entire Jeff Johns run, and I've been familiar. We're both huge fans of All-Star Squadron from back in the day and what have you, so... at the end of the day, I guess what I'm saying is we're probably not the target audience for this one, everybody.
Yeah.
All right, up next, a book that's in both of our top 5. It's Absolute Green Lantern, issue number 11, Something Red. Al Ewing, the writer, Janoy Lindsay on art and colors, Lucas Catoni on letters. And although this is in my top 5, I didn't enjoy this as much as I've enjoyed the last couple of issues of Absolute Green Lantern. I did enjoy the action that we get in this one. It's cool to see Hal Jordan having a little bit more agency. But there's a lot of this that felt a little bit like setup. And I feel like it's almost like the advancement of the story, which I felt like we got more advancement of the overall plot over the last couple issues than we do in this issue. And it just feels to me a little bit like the overall momentum of the plot is sacrificed a little bit to some extent to have more action, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You need issues that are more focused on action, and then issues where, you know, maybe it's a little bit more talking head. You need those up and downs so you have contrast in story. Otherwise, if it's all up here, you know, all action all the time, then it doesn't have meaning because you have no contrast. If it's all down here with no action, it's boring. You don't want to read it. So it does need the up and down. The Genoa Lindsay art is in the same vein as they've been doing all along, which is really, really great, especially focused on colors. There's one page here with the psychic character. I can't think of what her name is, but she's basically...
name's Carrie, but what's her name's Carrie, but I don't know her.
Yeah, Carrie Limbo.
Right, Limbo, right.
Yeah, Joe gives her the ring, so she can try to figure out what's going on, because there is they sense a threat coming. They sense Todd Rice, who in the main DC universe is Obsidian, and in this one has been exposed to that same black gunk that turned Hal Jordan into Black Hand, at least temporarily. But Hector Hammond is controlling him, and so she's trying to kind of understand or whatever. Now, this is in a lot of ways a very complicated story, just based on the mythology that Al Ewing has built, and it does take a little. You got to pay a little bit of attention, a little bit of investment in order to kind of understand that. Or you can go watch a video that explains it all. I don't know if there's any out there that do. I know Rocky was hoping to get one together. I know he had some technical issues with it, or what have you, but anyway, there's a lot that goes on in this issue in terms of action and little Easter eggs here or there. But I will say that Green Lantern continues to be the least new reader friendly of the absolute titles, because it does require a little investment of time. So anyway, what are your thoughts on it, Rocky?
So I continue to like this. This is something where I'm beginning to. It's ironically enough, I'm rising to the challenge every time Al Ewing adds more and more information to this growing mythology of the absolute Green Lantern universe, and I've really been enjoying it. Hal Jordan originally acquired the Black Hand in this series. Well, he lost the Black Hand. It was ripped from him by Joe Millian with the power of the Green Lantern, and it became this obsidian blackness. Essentially, was ended up being acquired, becoming this black goo acquired by Hector Hammond. Hector Hammond has now sought control of this Todd Phillips who's become Obsidian. This Todd Phillips has sort of lost his mind, and Hector Hammond is using a mental helmet to control Obsidian, and he's using it to essentially attack Hal Jordan, attack Joe Mullein. He wants to wipe them out and he wants to find out more about the Green Lantern. I mean, Hector Hammond wants to he wants to know the secrets of the Green Lantern. He's already acquired or he thinks he knows some of the secrets of the Obsidian. He knows that there's potentially other colors of this new absolute spectrum out there, and he wants to acquire all of that. Meanwhile, Joe Mullein, along with Cameron Chase and Limbo, they're aware that likely their boss is compromised, that the DEO is compromised. And I like that Limbo, I think, I'm picking up vibes. I think Limbo has a crush on Hal Jordan. I think she kind of likes him. So I kind of like the hints dropped there. This issue, there's a lot of action in this issue. Obsidian, who is controlled by Hector Hammond, attacks them all when they're in their hideout. And so Cameron Chase, Joe Mullein, Hal Jordan, they're all attacked. Unfortunately, Joe Mullein doesn't have her ring because she gave it to Limbo. Limbo is possibly killed, but I don't think she probably survived the attack from Obsidian. because she was holding the Green Lantern ring, and it was established earlier that if you hold the Green Lantern ring, it does toughen you up a little bit. So she's probably okay, but we'll have to wait and see. We still don't know the exact relationship. You know, Todd Phillips with even though he's lost it. Sorry, Todd Rice. His connection to Obsidian. His mind seems to be sort of gone. So it's making it easier for Hector Hammond to control the black goo or whatever. It's interesting. We also know that John Stewart meets up with Guy Gardner, and the Guy Gardner is the Ain. He's the first level of the red power, so which making him an Ain Rail, so basically being the first level. The Ain Rao, I guess, is the first level of being a Red Lantern. Him along with John Stewart end up meeting up with Tomar, who is a Tomar Rao, but he's basically he's a rogue. Basically, he's an anomaly. Just like Joe Mullen is an anomaly of the Green Lantern spectrum, he's an anomaly of the red. And so, you know, more is added to the mythology. We also discovered that Sinestro is actually a sentence. It's not a name. So Sinestro is a sentence, and it's a sentence of death. That's what Limbo had an image of, that the Sinestro is a sentence of death. Well, that's very interesting, because who's sentenced to death? And you know, again, more questions. Where's this all leading? Because we know that when we saw visions of Sinestro, he's got some obsidian black, he's got some red, he's got some yellow. So he seems to be a combination of all the colors a little bit. You know, if you go back and look at images of Sinestro in 4 or 5 issues ago, in any event, for me, I'm enjoying this, and this is the stuff where I'm getting the hardcovers of Volume 1, Volume 2. This is something where I know I'm going to enjoy just going back and rereading it. And by the way, this is why the absolute titles are selling so well. I think that's what other people are doing, because you're right that this is probably one of the more challenging titles in the absolute line, Jace. I also think that Absolute Martian Manhunter can be a little challenging. At least I'm finding it a little challenging to truly appreciate Absolute Martian Manhunter. I get it. I get the gist of it. And I particularly love some of the other sort of like the philosophical elements of it, and what it says about humanity and the nature of emotion and what have you, and the darkness in all of us. But I think our Absolute Martian Manhunter can be challenging as well. And so, but I welcome that, and that just, to me, it's additive to the absolute universe. And I love, just a quick comment I want to make. There was a little bit of a kerfuffle. I guess Scott Snyder a while back was part of some sort of website or where they had a discussion with other creators about how maybe the absolute titles. Some people had comments about how the absolute titles are so successful, it's perhaps taken some attention away from indie titles and other titles. But yet, a lot of the people who are doing indies, every one of them, it seems a lot of them are making pitches because they all want a series in the absolute line. Because who wouldn't, right? You want to make a name for yourself, make a successful pitch to the DC absolute line, and make a name for yourself. That's what I like to see. The best of the best, the most inspired writers making a pitch to do something in the absolute line, or even do something more radical in the mainstream line. Great time for DC, and great time to read an absolute title.
Yeah, Mark Waid said recently if he could do an absolute book, he wants to do Absolute Dead Man. That would be interesting. Cool. I don't know how you would go. I mean, he's already dead. Nobody can see him. He takes over other people's bodies. I don't know how you dial it up from there. Mark Waid says he has an idea. I trust him. He's fantastic. So I guess we'll see. Mostly what I'm curious coming out of this issue is Hal Jordan. Hint here that he gave up the Black Hat. So has he been cured? Does he no longer have any abilities? I mean, it's Hal Jordan, the first Green Lantern of modern times anyway. Obviously, Alan Scott being the first one. So what's his role going to be? Does he have powers? Does he not? Any lingering effects from having that gunk on him? We'll see. And the other thing that struck me as we're seeing Guy Gardner become a Lantern, John Stewart has, obviously Joe Mullane. so Tomar Ray's showing up here. We've seen Sinestro. The one character that we haven't seen, and it hasn't even been mentioned, Kyle Rayner. So
Yeah,
because I was wondering, you talk about Sinestro being able to wield all sorts of different spectrums. Well, we've seen Kyle have that ability in the past as well. So anyway, let's move on. Up next, we have Superman one-shot called Superman Chains of Love Special #1. It's written by Leah Williams, art by Iguara, colors by Fabi Marquez, letters by Dave Sharp. It stars the Creeper and Livewire. Despite the fact that it's called Superman, really this is a Livewire and a Creeper story. It comes in at number 11 for me, so it comes in last. But again, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed every book this week. I'm a big fan of Livewire. I'm a big fan of Creeper. They're basically in a relationship. Remember how I was talking earlier that apparently I don't like any of the relationships that DC editorial puts together? I guess that continues in this. Although I like these two characters separately, I don't. This is not a relationship that I want to see continue long term. If it does, it does. I don't have any control over that. I'll still read it. But I just don't. I don't see these characters being compatible, despite the fact that they are here. So I don't know if Leigh Williams pitched this or if they came to her, whatever. It just seems they seem to be strange bedfellows, literally. Yeah. And so as much as I enjoyed this and I enjoyed seeing Livewire, and I thought the Iguara art was really fantastic. His version of Creeper a little bit different than what I'm used to seeing, but it was still fine. But yeah, I want to see more of these characters, but not necessarily together. Particularly Livewire. I think there's a lot of untapped potential there. So
yeah.
Anyway, anything to add, Rocky?
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree with you because I actually enjoyed them. I actually thought this is an odd pairing, but probably for the reason that you didn't think they make a good pair. I think they kind of do. Creeper is he's very out there and eclectic as a character and wild, but Livewire, I always remember Livewire to be a little bit crazy too. She's got an element of insanity in her. I always sort of viewed that, at least, and I'm probably remembering more her first appearance in Superman Animated, but I always thought she was a little bit loopy a little bit, and she has a little bit of a crazy, very independent heart streak here, and I can kind of, and she's sort of, and so I can kind of see maybe there's why she's attracted to Creeper, because he's a little bit out there himself, and so I kind of like it, and frankly, neither one of these characters are really, having them together, I think, adds some element of, I want to see more romance in the DC universe. I've always felt there should be more, not less. I was always a big fan of, from when I was younger, with the love triangle of Superman, Lois, and Lana, etc. I hope to actually see that in the Absolute title, by the way, which probably won't happen. It's okay if it does, then I'm just spitballing. But no, I thought this was a lot of fun. Leigh Williams, this is probably one of the more enjoyable. I really enjoyed this. This is probably one of my more the better Leigh Williams scripted comics I've read in a while from her. I know that since she left Power Girl, this is the best thing she's done since she left Power Girl, and I thought her Power Girl was a little underwhelming in the end there, but I really enjoyed this. I thought this was pretty good, and I'm going to be picking up that ultimate cover. I really love that. Sexy Livewire on cover B. I'm not sure who the cover artist is, but with the Creeper showing up right between Livewire's legs on cover B. That's a must buy for me as a Period fanboy. But
yeah, Mirka Andolfo.
Oh yeah, it's good. I like it. It's kind of like it looks like painted. It almost looks like a painted cover. It was nice.
Yeah. Does that variant? So, again. Interesting story. I just don't know. I just don't know about them. Those two. I just don't. I was thinking though while you were talking, I was like, what other relationships are in DC? Specifically, ones I could think of where I'm like, oh yeah, I like them together. Because it can't just be Lois and Clark. And if you say Ralph and Sue Dibney, elongated man, like I don't even know if is she still alive. based on Identity Crisis, whatever. Is that in continuity?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm trying to think. There's got to be somebody else. Silver Banshee, Siobhan, and Jimmy Olsen. I love that. That's a great one. That's a great one. But I got to think of more because. So if you can think of any that we're not remembering, everybody put them down in the comments, because there's got to be at least as many DC couples that I like as that I don't like. Oliver Queen and Black Canary, that's an obvious one I forgot. I like them together. They're fine.
Well, I like Carol Ferris and Green Lantern. And
Hal Jordan? Yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, maybe I'm even now. I have to add them up.
Oh, yeah.
But some of the ones that are like most popular, I really like. As you know, I've said it many times. I just Bruce and Selena. No, just no. Yeah. If I could never have two characters together again, that would be the one I would pick.
Poison Ivy and Janet from HR.
Yeah, but are they like official?
Yeah, I know. So probably not.
I need them to go social media official.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, last book we're going to talk about in detail, everybody. It's on both of our top 5. It's Absolute Superman number 16 from writer Jason Aaron. Juan Ferreira continuing his 2-issue run on art and colors. Becca Carey handling the letters. The Never Ending Begins, Part 2. The Universe Will Break Your Heart, Kid. So last issue ended with Kal-El running into Hawkman. Hawkman, like, is he a hero? Is he a villain? If he's got the absolute evil one shot, you'll see. You know that he took out Oliver Queen, Green Arrow. So, is he good? Is he bad? Maybe somewhere in between. But anyway, I'm going to make you go first, Rocky. What were your thoughts on this issue?
I really like the origin for this Absolute Hawkman. Jason Aaron does a good job here. I'm glad that Jason Aaron was the one that was handling this origin for Absolute Hawkman, because he is a badass, and we also know that we know that Absolute Hawkman, he is clearly somebody who's bought off he's given up trying to battle the powers that be. We know that he, for all intents and purposes, Absolute Hawkman, he's going to do whatever the powers that be in the world tell him. So whether it's the Lazarus Corporation or Hector Hammond, or whatever the case might be, he's pretty much given up. Because the whole reason that Absolute Hawkman shows up in this issue is to confront Superman and tell him, "Hey, what are you doing? Calm down. You can't change the world. Ease up on this, on doing battle against the Lazarus Corporation. I mean, what are you doing here? Relax. I mean, you can't change the world, kid, and slow down." And he's kind of a jerk about it, and so and as he sort of brags, he's been doing this for 100 years. Initially, we have his origin story, of course, and we got hints at Absolute Black Adam as well, which is kind of cool. And ultimately, yeah, it started off. He acquired the powers of Hathset or whatever, or maybe the powers of the Hawk and the Nth Metal leading into World War II, when he was a World War II hero. He battled Hitler. But he clearly became corrupted following that, but at the same time, he can do heroic things, but he does it within the status quo. He doesn't, there's, the Absolute Justice League, which we know to be consisting of the Joker and Hector Hammond and Veronica Cale, etc. He's not going to upset that apple cart, So we know he even talked about Oliver Queen. He compared Absolute Superman, to Oliver Queen and Ray Monroe, or Iron Monroe and all these other heroes, which he ultimately ended up likely killing. We know he killed Oliver Queen. And, he just wants Absolute Superman to sort of like tone it down. But of course, that's not the case. And before they could really have a fight, he's kind of a jerk to Superman, and he gets upset because Superman is so hyper. He can't even have a conversation with Hawkman because he's flying off. He's helping this person, helping that person, and he's pissing Hawkman off. And that's really why Hawkman hits him, and why there's a battle there for a while, until ultimately they're confronted by the Parasite, which we're going to see more of that battle next issue. And other appearances this issue, we see Lois Lane apply for a job at the Daily Planet. Perry White is fired and replaced by Jimmy Olsen, which is kind of funny. The Daily Planet is now an apartment building. It's been an apartment building for 20 years, and the Daily Planet has been relegated to almost like a dilapidated warehouse. And at the end, we see Lex Luthor, and which I think is probably the biggest surprise is Lex Luthor really is a family man. He's a family man. He doesn't want to get involved. He can't be bought. The individual that confronts him, who is revealed to be Brainiac, wants to recruit Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor doesn't. He can't be bought. He has a family life. He's got kids. And he just wants to be left alone. And it hints at what Brainiac might do something horrendous to Lex Luthor's family to get him to I don't know, become corrupted, or I don't know. In other words, I love what Jason Aaron does with Lex Luthor here, because I don't know what the plans are for Lex Luthor. Is Lex Luthor going to end up being a bad guy? Is he going to be a good guy? Is Brainiac going to kill his family? What's going to happen? I don't know, but I'm so looking forward to it. There's so many seeds, so many little things. It's lots of various plot points, aspects of Superman mythology in this absolute universe has been established and moved forward in this issue. And where's it going to go? I don't know, but just another great issue that I'm invested in this story, and I really enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed the art, because the art's different too. This was a different artist, right?
Yeah, Juan Ferreira.
Yeah, I thought the art was really good. I particularly liked the flashback sequence showing Hawkman and his origin and how he acquires his powers, and how violent he was. Hawkman was very violent right from the beginning, and it's going to be interesting to see, moving forward, how this absolute Superman, he seems very ignorant of the world. He doesn't seem to be particularly knowledgeable about Oliver Queen. He doesn't seem to be particularly knowledgeable, Superman, about the larger aspects of the world. He's been so overwhelmed. He knows something about Lazarus, and he knows he's always helping people, but Superman has to learn to take a broader view and get to know the world just a little bit more than he does. He's so people focused and helping people focused. He doesn't seem to be largely aware of the larger political or social landscape of the absolute universe. And you can't say the same. Even Wonder Woman, absolute Wonder Woman, seems to be more self-aware than Superman is, and certainly absolute Batman is. And which is another thing I like, because there's very obvious personality and character distinctions between the absolute trinity, which I also really like, and has been sort of really was exemplified this issue in showing Superman's sort of like almost naivete, but yet his blind ambition to help so many people that he can't even take a breath to have a conversation with somebody. But I really enjoyed this. What about yourself?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that last, because that's actually the first thing I was going to mention is, this idea that he's literally so busy helping people and stopping disasters and trying to prevent disasters and whatever, that he's not giving himself a chance to gain some emotional intelligence and some social intelligence and social connections, because he's so action oriented, and action without thinking can lead to potentially horrible consequences. And it's sort of being put to the forefront here with, he doesn't know if he can trust Hawkman. He doesn't know if he should trust Hawkman or not, because he has no knowledge of it. And he needs to realize that he needs to gain that knowledge. But on the other hand, it makes perfect sense when we look at the origin that he had, with what he learned from his parents, with him being so isolated his first, few years or whatever on Earth. It makes sense that, he wasn't at a point where he learned that. He left Krypton when he was 10, 11 years old. You're at that age, you don't have that awareness. Your life is your parents, basically, and the values that they instill. But being able to judge people and situations, on their own merit, and being able to recognize the values of people and what have you, those are lessons that come later in life. So I have every confidence that Jason Aaron's going to introduce those things to this version of Superman, and it'll be fun to see that ride. One for art, absolutely fantastic. Origin of Hawkman, interesting. I like Hawkman. I always mention Poison Ivy getting to 50 issues. Hawkman never had, because I feel like he deserves it. I love the Robert Venditti Hawkman run. Feel like it was underrated. So I say that to say, man, seeing him as a pseudo villain here isn't my favorite, but the characterization and the origin and everything that we get from Jason Aaron makes it make sense. Like it completely feels accurate. And then the last thing I'll mention is Lex Luthor and him possibly being a hero, but then trauma, like you mentioned, Brainiac certainly threatening to turn him into a villain. I got shades of the Lex Luthor from Earth 3. So Earth 3 with the crime syndicate where, Lex is the only hero. He's almost like a Tony Stark like guy. He has like armor or whatever. And we saw him in Crisis on Infinite Earths, and then there was the younger version that the Monitor took and aged up artificially, Alexander, that was wearing like the gold armor throughout. That was basically like a young Lex Luthor. Shades of that as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes of Lex and how that all plays out for sure. So
yeah, for sure.
All right. Like I said, that's the last of the issues we're going to talk about in detail. There are some reprints this week that are coming out. We've got the second issue of Batman getting a third printing. We've got the DC Marvel Presents Superman Spider-Man Treasury Edition, the reprint of that. We actually covered it a while back. I guess some shops didn't get it. So
this is the second one. This is the second one. There was two Superman and Spider-Man, isn't there?
Oh, yeah. You're right.
This is the second one.
Because the first one was Dr. Octopus and Lex Luthor, and this is Parasite and Dr. Doom. That's right. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. Treasury edition of that, which, man, it's been forever since I read that. Might have to dig it out, check it out. We talked about DCKO Knightfight issue 4 today. Well, there's a second printing of issue 1, as I mentioned before. And then there's Teen Titans Go, number 12 is out this week. And then there's also a DC crossover with AEW Wrestling, which I'm not a wrestling guy at all. That holds absolutely no interest to me, but I know there's plenty of you that it does hold interest. That's out this week as well. Oh, and there's also a Superman 31 is getting a second printing because it's sold out. And then in terms of collections out this week, we have a few. Absolute Batman Volume 2, the Abomination storyline. That actually came out Tuesday as we're recording this. It's actually already out in bookstores. Absolute Power, the Absolute Power miniseries is getting a collected edition as well. Batman White Knight, that's the first of the Sean Gordon Murphy verse, sort of an Elseworlds alternate tale, Black Label. So that's all the first series is collected. Wonder Woman Enter the Cheetah is DC's finest, so it's reprinting real classic Wonder Woman and Cheetah stories. Then we've got Superman New Krypton Saga Omnibus. So that's Gary Frank art, written by James Robinson and Sterling Gates and Jeff Johns, because it crosses over a bunch of different series. It's 1,040 pages, $125. We're collecting Supergirl, Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen special, Superman World of New Krypton 1-3, Action Comics, Superman World of Krypton special. So it's a ton of fantastic work. Greg Rucka's another one of the writers on there. Pete Woods, Gary Frank covers, really classic stuff. So if you are so inclined, that is out this week as well. And then finally, Teen Titans Go, Go Big or Go Home trade paperback for those younger readers. All right. Pretty sure Rocky went first last week with his rankings, so my turn. Here we go with Superman Chains of Love special number 1, coming in at number 11. As much as I enjoyed it, did have to put something last. JSA number 16 comes in at 10. Number 9 for me is the DCKO Boss Battle one-shot. At number 8, I've got Batman Static Beyond, number 3. Coming in at number 7 is Batgirl 16. At number 6 is Batman number 6. At number 5, I've got Poison Ivy 41. At number 4, Absolute Green Lantern number 11. At number 3, Absolute Superman number 16. DCKO Knightfight comes in at number 2 for me. And coming in at number 1, the return of Nice House by the Sea with issue number 7.
Oh, wow. Okay. That actually surprises me that you put that first.
Yeah,
But,
my top 2, I feel like my top 2 were a surprise even to myself this week.
Yeah. I can't find it on my list here. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. Sorry about that for the delay. Yeah. Well, Nice House by the Sea. That was very good. It was very good. But okay, so my list. All right, I have coming in at number 13, Teen Titans Go. Number 12, Batman Static. Number 3, coming in at number 11. I put DC AEW number 1. I ranked those two. So coming in at number 10 was JSA 16. Number 9, DCKO Knightfight. Number 4. Number 8, Superman Chains of Love. Number 7, Batman issue 6. Coming in at number 6, Batgirl 16. My top 5, coming in at 5, Poison Ivy 41. Coming in at number 4, DCKO Boss Battle number 1. Coming in at number 3, Nice House by the Sea number 7. Number 2, Absolute Superman number 16. And coming in at number 1 is Absolute Green Lantern number 11. I've been enjoying it. I'm enjoying the series, and I'm enjoying the challenge that Al Ewing keeps adding to the mythology. And I'm along for the ride, and I'm enjoying it. So it was pretty good. Yeah, there you go.
I think this is the first time you've ever ranked Absolute Superman higher than me. I could be wrong about that, but that feels correct. So, all right, everybody, don't forget, if you're listening audio only, all the Comic Source content is available on all podcast platforms and apps. Just do search for the Comic Source and subscribe. But if you are checking us out that way, head over to Rocky's channel on YouTube, Comic Space Boom ! Like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell so you know when the new content comes out. You can catch us here every week talking about these books. You can see the art. You can see our smiling faces. We'd love it if you join us. Also, when you're at YouTube, head over to the Comic Source YouTube channel as well. In addition to releasing the content audio only, comes out on that channel with interviews and convention coverage and all that sort of stuff. So we appreciate everybody joining us as always. Don't forget to join us next week. It's going to be a big one with DCKO number 4. Rocky and I have both read it. We've talked about it very, very briefly because we don't want to ruin the interaction or whatever. But yeah, strong feelings about what's to come next week. So we hope you all join us, and thanks for tuning in this time, and we'll talk to you on the next one.
Catch you later.